You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look me better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the fourth part of What If Naruto Enters Elder Scrolls series. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of pyrohelixdrago on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. One very, very long explanation later. Hana looked at her mother with slight worry as her mother was an even more dangerous predator than before, and to top it off, she had a mate, someone whose orders she'd carry out no matter what. One whose sheer presence was telling her to strp and submit right then and there and was taking all of her willpower to ignore. So we all were either dead or close to death's door in some capacity, got brought here cause your boy toy killed a few people who pissed off the god of death, and now we're all stuck here having to obey every order given by him. May asked bewildered. Yeah, and he's not my boy toy, he's my MSTR, get it right. Some growled at her. May ignored the growls and was looking at Tsunade, surprised that the woman was part of this, although, she thought as she did admire how handsome Naruto was and did in fact notice he was hung. I wouldn't mind a piece of that. So what happens to us? Gabriella asked as her and Taiyuya were still bound but had heard everything explained. Taiyuya just looked on wide-eyed at all this. You serve or you die. Astrid said as it was that simple. Her former sisters would either serve her new MSTR or she'd rip their hearts from their chests right there and then. Make your choice. Clocks ticking, Astrid warned as she fiddled with her blade. Taiyuya knew her only answer was yes, so she nodded, Gabriella following her lead. They knew better than to try and get out of this. It would be certain death. They need to be fitted for this world. Aela said to them. Naruto had to agree as they no longer had chakra and needed to learn their magic. 2 days later. Sum smiled as her daughter was like her now as she asked Naruto to give her BLD for Hana to consume, and her daughter finally seemed more animal-like as unlike the rest of her clan, Hana was the oddball out having little to not many Inuzuka characteristics. Hana was a little on edge as she and the others, while ninja were still adapting to this world and the loss of some of their abilities, she did have to admit her new hybrid powers felt amazing. It felt like the beast within her wanted to be let out and play. It felt right to her. You're coming along nicely, Hana. Well done, Sum smiled watching Hana train with her new abilities and powers. Hana always tensed in her mother's presence whenever she was near. Her mother to her had a feel as a head mate to her when compared to Naruto's presence. Her presence was vexing and tensing. His was overpowering. Like an apex predator. A true alpha. Sum was happy to have her daughter here more than anything, but what really made her happy was she could use her to make Naruto happy. After all, her alpha deserved as many bees to use and breed as he wished. And one already spawned from her beforehand was already worthy of being bred by her alpha. I see the training is going well, Naruto spoke as he entered the training room to see the mother and daughter and several torn-up training dummies. He had just come from obtaining a new shcut found in the Brotherhood known as Marked for Death. A shout that slowly kills its target victim. Hana quivered and Sum smiled at her reaction, glad to know her daughter knew how powerful he was. Yes, Alpha. She has made great strides with her powers. I believe she is ready, Sum said with a predatory grin as she began to grope and play with her daughter's body. Are ready for what? Hana stuttered out, confused and surprised by her mother's actions. To be F, our alpha has much energy to burn and we are to help him as his loyal bees. Sum said with a smile as she grabbed Hana's shirt and ripped it open, revealing her bare jugs for Naruto to gaze at. Hana was speechless at this. Her mind was at war with herself. The rational part of her mind saying she shouldn't do this. But the animal. The animal in her was demanding she rip off her clothing and ride him till she passed out from his use of her body. Tsum grinned as she slid a hand down Hana's pants and started to play with her daughter's moistening CNT with her fingers. Enjoying giving her alpha a show with her daughter. Making Hana out loud from her mother's actions. Naruto approached the mother and daughter before reaching one of his hands towards one of Hana's jiggling melons and gave her tips a nice pinch, hearing her let out a whiny from his actions. Tsum found it adorable that her daughter was so sensitive. It would make it all the more fun when she joined her alpha in playing with her daughter. The mother and daughter both getting bred together like the animalistic wares they were for their lord and mstr. Like two bees in heat for him. Tsum removed her hand from Hana's trousers before pulling them down from her. The removed clothing revealing a red thong on Hana's lower body for Naruto to gaze at. I think you have too much clothing on compared to your daughter here Tsum, Naruto told her with a smirk as he moved his hand from her NPL down to Hana's clothed PP and rubbed his finger against her covered womanhood. Apologies mstr. Tsum said, I forgot how you liked me, she said ripping off all her clothing. Good girl. Now remove your daughter's panties. With your teeth, Naruto ordered the MLF with a grin. Tsum didn't pay any mind to her daughter's whines as she bit on Hana's thong and pulled down her last article of clothing. My daughter is still a virgin mstr. Tsum informed. Oh, is she? Naruto asked with a grin, then I shall give her the honor of stripping me herself. She should see what will soon be inside of her after all, Naruto said as he held his arms out awaiting to be strppd of his armor. Tsum sent her daughter a jealous glare, but made sure she got started. She smiled seeing her crawl and started with his pants getting slapped by his semi-hard PP in her face. I can smell so many. Hana thought as her sense of smell was in overdrive as not only could she smell her mother on this massive amount of meat but she could smell dozens of other women. It's like he's made for breeding, she thought to herself. I suppose she's in shock. Very well Tsum, remove my upper body clothing while your daughter enjoys her view of the PP that will tear her holes up, Naruto ordered. Tsum wasted no time getting behind him, removing his upper clothing and kissing his neck before he pulled her into a passionate kiss. Their tongues intertwining inside each other's mouths. After pulling away from the intense lip lock, Tsum looked down at her daughter and smiled as Naruto placed both hands onto her head and thrusted deep into her throat. Hana's eyes widening with some tears in her eyes from the sudden intrusion. DMN, her throat is tight. Naruto grunted. Tsum felt prideful at the remark as Hana's accomplishments were hers as well. Hana meanwhile could only GG and choke as Naruto started to move his PP in and out of her mouth and throat. Never having done this before and it suddenly being done before made her completely inexperienced with how to handle it. And yet the beast inside her was demanding that she submit and let him use her how he sees fit. Does my daughter please you, my mstr? Tsum asked as she licked at Naruto's cheek like an obedient pet while he petted her daughter's face. She'll need more training, Tsum. Naruto told her. She'll get it. Hear that, Hana? Your daddy wants you trained so until your skills satisfy me, we'll practice morning, noon, and night. Tsum said as she would train Hana for as long as it took. Hana could only GG and choke on the PP down her throat in response to this. Unable to speak due to the meat in her mouth. Well, regardless of what training she'll need, I'll still give her the gift of my seed down her throat, Naruto said with a grin, looking at Hana in her eyes as he let his load loose from his ball. Hana's eyes widened as she felt like she was drowning as Naruto's PP shot a massive amount of SPRM down into her stomach. I feel so full, she thought in delight, loving how she felt. After his load was finished being released, Naruto pulled his PP from her mouth and let Hana catch her breath for a moment. She swallowed it all. Impressive. I guess she truly does take after you, Naruto said to Tsum as he sent a hard spank at the MLF's peach, making her yelp excitedly at his action. Tsum's grin grew wide at this before she looked at her heavily breathing daughter. Would you like her virginity next, my lord? Or should we show her what she will experience first using my own body? Tsum asked Naruto. Why not both get on top of her? Naruto ordered as Tsum moved away, forcing her daughter onto her back and pinning her to the ground while Tsum herself laid on top of her. Their large melons mashed against each other. Tsum excitedly shook her peach for Naruto, hoping to entice him to F them, while Hana looked on in slight shock at how utterly depraved her mother truly was now. Hana cried, feeling Naruto enter her PP, slamming into it, destroying him, but her screams were silenced as her mother claimed her lips. F that's hot. Naruto grinned. He always loved mothers and daughters getting F by him. It may even be his favorite type of THRSM. Destroy her MSTR. Tsum thought, wanting to see her daughter break like so many before. Naruto gained his stride as after he heard Hana beginning to he started thrusting into Tsum as the woman howled in delight, finally getting some action. Bark for me, my bee. Naruto ordered Tsum as he gripped her peach and slapped it as soon as he started doing into her PP. Rough. Tsum barked in pure obedience, enjoying when he treated her like a pet. Louder. Naruto ordered as he slapped her peach again. Rough. Rough. Tsum barked and howled. Hana was in awe seeing her mother, her former alpha, reduced to this plaything. Am I the same now? She thought in wonder, not sure if she could deny Naruto anything. You two and Aela are my bees. Remember that. You two are pets for me to use and breed. Naruto growled out animalistically as he removed his PP from Tsum and shoved it back into Hana's CNT, making the daughter scream out at the intrusion once more. Get ready, Hana, because MSTR can go on for a while and he hasn't claimed your peach yet. Tsum said, shaking her own at him. No matter what state you're in or what time it is, he'll take your body and use us for his pleasure, as is his right, as he owns us we serve him, willingly, as he is more than just some man, he is a god, she yelled to her daughter in complete and utter lunacy and reverence to Naruto. She truly believed he was their new god. Well spoken, my pet. Now watch as I breed your daughter. Naruto yelled as he felt his release Liakind and shot his load inside of Hana's TWT, filling her depths with his thick juices. Tsum practically felt Hana's stomach bulge when Naruto unleashed his load, and it made her even more excited. Hana meanwhile screamed in pure pleasure as she felt his juices flood her insides, feeling so very full as her eyes widened and her own CLMX leaked, releasing a spray of her juices along his PP and the floor beneath them from his actions. Tsum saw her daughter's eyes roll back into her head from sheer bliss. I apologize, MSTR, she's too weak to handle you, she said, growling at her daughter before yelping as Naruto shoved Tsum's face down into her passed-out daughter's chest and rubbed his still hard PP against the MLF's PP. I missed you, Tsum. Naruto said as he didn't like his women being away or him being away from them. I need to make up for lost time and reward you, he said as Tsum was obedient to the end and he would reward her for that. Serving my alpha is the greatest reward I can ever get, Tsum spoke honestly to him, her mind and body truly devoted to him. Naruto grinned as he slammed his PP inside of her CNT, making her howl. Still, I should find a way to bring all of my women to me whenever I please, Naruto mused. Conjuration or perhaps alteration, it costs no magic to summon things you own. Tsum said loudly as she had seen people able to summon pets with magic. A great idea. I'll start experimenting after I breed my prized bee. Naruto grinned as he slapped Tsum's peach and started to rail her on top of her daughter's unconscious body. Tsum felt truly owned and loved from her alpha, as she had everything she ever wanted, true primal freedom, something every Inuzuka had to rein in as they never got to fully express their primal nature in their old world, but here there were no limits. Here she was free. Free to be her MSTR's pet. Free to be who she truly wanted to be. A tough, crazy, warrior woman that also served her mate as an unflinching juice dumpster for the gallons of SPRM he needed to unload. I love this body of yours. Naruto grinned as he spanked her peach again. It was made for F and you are the only man that gets to touch it. Tsum yelled as whenever another man hit on her she broke bones. With Naruto however she bent over to get his bone. The two's intense, animalistic, Rutting awoke Hana from her brief nap to see her mother getting pended into by their alpha and MSTR. "She's awake MSTR." Some said in joy and smiled viciously, "You should get back to claiming her peach next, it's still untouched." "I will. But first I want her to watch her mother get bread by me." Naruto yelled as he began to leak inside her PP, and when it was filled he slammed himself into her peach, filling it as well. "You'll lick it out of me, B." Some said in a dazed lustful look to her daughter as she got off of her as Naruto got her on all fours. Some laid on her back in front of Hana, spreading her legs, showing her leaking holes to her. "Get to work." Some ordered Hana with a grin. Hana yelped in fear as, while no longer the alpha, she could still not turn down an order from her mother as she was still more powerful than her, so she got to licking, savoring the combined taste of her mother and MSTR. Naruto let this play out for a moment, enjoying the sight of Tsum making Hana look at her like a lapdog before Naruto suddenly slammed his PP inside of Hana's untouched peach with zero hesitation. "Yes, BMM." Tsum said in pure bliss, "Eat my peach as he does yours." "Lick it, you dirty bee," she yelled, having a slight blush as she felt Hana into her peach as she ate it. "That's what I love to see. My two pets playing nice with each other." Naruto grinned as he slapped Hana's jiggling peach, making her scream while eating her own mother out. Tsum licked her lips, fully intending to make sure she and her daughter played together more with Naruto in the future. It was their purpose after all. Next morning, Hana looked at her mother and Naruto in terror as they were still and it seemed they just caught their stride. She picked herself up, but the moment she began walking in the other direction, Naruto picked her up in a full Nelson. "Where are you going, pup? We're not done." Some said, climaxing, seeing the lustful fear in Hana's eyes as Naruto took her peach while Tsum ate out her PP. Hana's mind went blank from the pleasure she felt, unsure of how her mother was going to train her to survive this kind of physical torture of pleasure. "We are Lord Naruto's personal wares, Hana. Two of many that dedicate their lives and bodies to him. We must remain open for use by him at all times. A dragon could attack you and he could still use your holes for pleasure before and after fighting it himself," Tsum told her daughter. Hana screamed from pleasure as she let out another CLMX, either from the thought or the STMLTN to her womanhood by Naruto's thick pages, one could only guess which. Few hours later, Tsum had finally reached her limit, but was still conscious as she bowed, kissing her MSTR's member. "I shall train Hana night and day, MSTR, she'll be ready next time you leak or her mind will be shattered," she said, fully intending on breaking her daughter for his pleasure. "Very good, Tsum. You two have earned some rest," Naruto told them as he sat on a chair in the room. His hard PP still on display before the MLF. "I shall find someone else to help with my issue here. You will need your rest as training her starts tomorrow," Naruto ordered the feral MLF. Tsum nodded as she crawled up next to Hana, eating her daughter clean as she was covered in so much of her MSTR's seed before dragging Hana to a bed chamber. "It's good to be the king," Naruto smirked as he really did enjoy this new world and all the benefits he gained. "Now who should help me with this?" Naruto questioned aloud, looking at his still rock-hard PP. The doors suddenly reopened and Tsunade walked in, and Shizun fell to the floor looking embarrassed as she blushed, especially seeing Naruto's member. "And so my prayers have been answered," Naruto mused to himself with a smirk as he saw the big-tidded blonde and her CC assistant enter the room. "I caught her spying on you while you were pinning the two feral bees, MSTR, Tsunade spoke to Naruto. "Hi Shizun." Naruto said kindly as he always liked Shizun as she was very kind, but he also loved how SBMSSV she was to Tsunade as he remembered how she would bow to the woman as if she were a goddess, and with the assets she had been hiding now free made her even more desirable. Hello Naruto," Shizun spoke up weakly, her gaze on his PP mainly. "Speak more politely, Shizun. He is our lord and MSTR." Tsunade said, slapping her peach with a bit of magic, making sure it was harder on her assistant. "His orders exceed my own," she said to her sternly, her voice carrying the promise of punishment if defied. "Greetings Lord Naruto." Shizun spoke up quickly as she bowed her head to the NDE lord before them. Tsunade and Naruto couldn't help but admire Shizun's form as she bowed as her chest, while not as big as Tsunade's, was still impressive and drooping downward, and her peach truly stuck out. Better. So you were spying on me, Shizun? Naruto questioned as he stood up from his seat and walked towards her, still NDE. I was curious. Shizun said, not making eye contact. We all have been hearing their screams of pleasure, some openly masturbating, and I wanted to see for myself. Shizun said, as most of the women claimed by Naruto truly did injure themselves even in front of the non-HRM members. Harkon, who hadn't even been claimed, was masturbating with the edge of a table the whole time Naruto was getting it on with the mother and daughter. I see. Regardless, spying on the Dragonborn is an issue. One that requires punishment, Naruto said with a smirk. And how should we punish my student, Mstr? Tsunade said, sitting beside him. I guarantee you that she will do anything to make it up to you, she said as she looked at her student, daring her to refuse. Is that so? Naruto questioned, looking at the still bowing Shizun. Then she can stand up and look me in the eyes, Naruto ordered the assistant. Shizun blushed as she stood up and looked Naruto dead in the eye, blushing up a storm as his gaze made her feel weak, which she was, as she always knew Naruto was beyond powerful. Even when they first met. Him mastering a Jutsu in a DMN week proved that after all. Good. Now STRP, Naruto ordered Shizun. His gaze never leaving her eyes. Shizun tensed before fulfilling his order, not even covering herself, as Tsunade had made her do this in the past when in private, as her Mstr inherited the Uzumaki lust and often used her to get rid of the edge she felt in their earlier travels. Naruto walked up and around Shizun, inspecting every part of her NDE body with a critical eye. Like a predator stalking its prey, making the brunette shiver and quiver from his gaze. Tsunade smiled at Shizun. You no longer belong to me, Shizun. After today, you will belong to only one, she thought to herself. Her PP actually moistened from the thought of this. She wanted her Mstr to own Shizun. For the woman who she saw like a daughter or niece to be the juice dump of the man before them. Shizun kept blushing brighter and brighter as Naruto had yet to touch her, and she was waiting for whatever lewd and depraved treatment he would give her, as after all the time with Tsunade, she craved the touch of someone as secularly powerful as her, and Naruto owning her Mstr meant he had to have that in spades. I could easily F you here and now, but let's make this more fun. Why don't you tell me exactly what depraved ways you want me to use this salty body of yours, Shizun? Announce it to the whole world. Tsunade smiled as she had done many things to Shizun, many she was shy to, and later on she was asking for depraved things that surprised even her. Shizun stuttered shyly, not sure how she would answer him. Answer, or I'll make you watch me use Tsunade and you will be unable to pleasure yourself, Naruto ordered Shizun. He wanted the shy woman to fully debase herself. I want to be a sec SLV. Shizun said, making Tsunade smile in excitement. I fully submitted myself to Lady Tsunade, always wanting her to use me however she wished, not just as a student, but as her toy. She blushed as she saw Tsunade smile at her lustfully. Well, wish come true, Shizun, as from now on you belong to me, do you understand? Naruto asked her as Tsunade gave her to him. Shizun nodded, knowing he was now her Mstr more than Tsunade could ever be now. You'll be just like me, Shizun. He owns me. Tsunade said, filling her in on the poker game they had, which made the brunette groan that she bet herself against Naruto. Yes, Tsunade, there is my personal bimbo juice dump. And you'll soon be just like her and all the other women I own. A tool for me to use. A toy for me to F over and over again as my PP slams into each and every one of your holes, Naruto told her. She has never had a PP Mstr, she's a virgin. But I broke her him when she wanted me to F her with a strap-on. Tsunade told him as she laughed, remembering how Shizun kept wanting her full strength, her hips often getting shattered as a result. Oh, how knky. Guess the shy woman is underneath it, a depraved SLT, huh? Naruto asked with a mocking tone of voice and a smirk on his face. Go on, Shizun. Tell your Mstr what a salty girl you truly are, Tsunade ordered with a grin. I want rough SEC. I want to be treated as a toy. I want someone who makes me feel inferior to them. Shizun said, wanting a strong powerful lover to have their way with her. Feels good to be honest, right? Naruto asked before he looked her in the eyes. On your knees where, he ordered firmly. Shizun kneeled down now at eye level with his PP, wondering what he would do to her. Are you dumb and deaf as well, SLT? Get to work. Naruto growled, seeing her do nothing but pause to just stare at his PP, which he slapped on her cheek. I apologize, MSTR, she is very obedient, she won't move or do anything until she's ordered. Tsunade said, as it was a nice quirk, but was annoying on occasion. I see. Then why don't you help her then? Grab her by the back of her head and make her choke on my PP, Naruto ordered. Tsunade smiled as she did as she was told and knelt next to Shizun before he grabbed her by the back of her head and slammed Shizun's throat on her MSTRs. I hope you're enjoying this, Shizun, because since you are no longer my assistant you'll be serving him like the SECSLV you wanted to be, she said as Shizun's eyes were wide from the PP filling her throat. MMPH. Shizun tried to speak but couldn't due to her gagging on Naruto's massive PP. Don't speak, you'll only choke. Tsunade said as she kissed her neck, making sure to leave a few marks. Not bad. A tight little throat she has. And she's better at taking my PP in it than you were the first time, Naruto mused, looking at Tsunade with a grin. I've made her do many SXL arts in our travels, MSTR. Tsunade said as if Shizun ever became a seductress, she would have been skilled in the bedroom. Very good, but I wonder if the student has already surpassed the MSTR, Naruto smirked. Tsunade seemed angry at that remark as she slapped Shizun's peach, making her MMM as she choked on his member. This SLT is only a toy, MSTR, she doesn't have the Uzumaki stamina and is only good to relieve stress, she'll never surpass me, she said as she was positive in her assessment. And yet of the two of you I see only one fully NDE where in the presence of their MSTR, Naruto said. Tsunade wasted no time stripping, going to Naruto, you own my body, MSTR, all you have to do is ask and it shall be done, she said, kissing his chest with love and lust. Better. Then I want the both of you to wrap those jugs of yours around my pages, I want to see who's better at melon FING me, Naruto ordered. Tsunade smiled as she pushed Shizun off his member, giving it a kiss as she got on her knees. Shizun kneeling on the opposing side of her, both of them pressing their tips against the others with Naruto's PP between. His PP is bigger than her tips. Shizun thought, never believing she'd see such a sight in her life. Now this is the life. Two worthless wares pleasuring my PP like the obedient slaves they are. Naruto grinned down at the two, giving his PP pleasure with their massive racks. Tsunade smiled as she kissed the tip of his member. We live to serve you, my lord, Tsunade spoke up worshipfully to her MSTR. I will follow you to the ends of the earth if you deem it. Shizun spoke. Such loyalty deserves a reward, Naruto said, biting his wrist. Drink, he said, making her drink his BLD. Tsunade smiled as this would seal the deal even further, as being turned by Naruto was the greatest gift one could receive. I thank you for deeming me worthy of this precious gift, my lord, Shizun said as she drank his BLD. Both watched as Shizun's eyes changed and seemed even more obedient than before. She looked at Tsunade as if she were nothing, the woman no longer having any authority over her. How do you feel, Shizun? Naruto asked. Amazing, MSTR, and I wish to return this feeling to you forever. Shizun said happily, a hungry look in her eyes and tone of voice. Well then, let's see how bad you both want it. I want you two to lie down and beg me to F you. Whoever begs me the most shall be F first. The other shall be forced to watch without touching themselves, Naruto ordered. MSTR, you own my body and have always been able to do whatever you wish, this one can barely handle me, she would be unable to satisfy you. Tsunade said as she wanted Naruto to F her. No, MSTR. I will forever be your obedient juice dump. I will do whatever you ask whenever you ask it. I will forever remain impaled on your glorious PP as you travel if you deem me fit to do so. I am far better at servicing you than the pathetic hag next to me. Shizun said as she'd forever do what he wanted no matter the cost to whatever dignity she had left in her. F her MSTR was the main concern. Well spoken, Naruto grinned before he slammed his PP inside Shizun's CNT. MSTR. Tsunade said in a whiny mmm as she saw her former apprentice get his PP. Do not touch yourself. You will watch everything I do to Shizun, Naruto told her as he grabbed Shizun's hips and started to ram and PND his PP into her, making her tips jiggle. Tsunade obeyed him, watching him dominate her former apprentice who she saw as a daughter for years, but also as her toy to fulfill her desires. Ah. MSTR. Your glorious PP is crashing against my WMB. It feels wonderful. Use my body as you see fit. I exist only to serve you. Shizun yelled as her mind only cared about pleasing her MSTR/. I intend to. Naruto said as he intended to learn every inch of her body and know it as well as Tsunade did. Yes. Ruin me. Ruin me. Shizun yelled out loud, her voice traveling throughout the former Dark Brotherhood sanctuary for all in it to hear. Her wails and screams bouncing and echoing off the walls as Naruto took her then and there. Tsunade watched as Naruto f Shizun and bit her lips, keeping her arms at her side so she didn't try and play with herself. She would not disobey her MSTR's orders. Ah, so good. I should have bent over and let you take me when we first met, MSTR. Shizun screamed in wanton lust and depravity. Naruto smiled, impressed at how far Shizun leaked in this short amount of time. Even Tsunade in her jealousy was impressed. Such obedience. I should reward you, Naruto said. Shizun screamed as she felt his juices gush inside her. How does he have so much, she thought, climaxing and losing her mind to being filled by him. Tsunade watched closely and as when he pulled out, his seed shot out covering Shizun's face and shot onto her chest, making her feel even more corny. I wanna lick it. She thought, wanting to lick the seed off her tips, but knew that it wasn't smart to disobey her MSTR. Tsunade, I see the hunger in your eyes. You may lick the juices off of Shizun, Naruto told her. Tsunade was eager to follow that order as Naruto's juices was divine in taste to her, so she quickly crawled over and started to lick and slobber on Shizun's tips as she ate and drooled the juices off her, like a depraved animal. As she did so, Naruto knelt behind her and suddenly slammed his PP inside of her PP. Yes. Tsunade thought, elated to have him back inside of her, as she felt truly complete when he was ball deep inside of her. Naruto grabbed her by her pigtails and wrenched her head back as he F her doggy style over Shizun's heaving chest. Shizun looked up in her sore and slightly tired state to see the heavenly bust that was her former MSTR's chest swaying as she was being pended by their MSTR, a truly worthwhile sight. She rose her head and began S-ling at Tsunade's NPL. An act she had performed many times in the past. Tsunade from the pleasure she was receiving. You know, I was originally gonna name you as the head of my women, Tsunade, Naruto said with a grin. Tsunade and Shizun froze at the mention of that. Tsunade could practically feel her inner walls clench even tighter around his. But after her, I think Shizun may be the better choice between you two. Naruto smirked. Tsunade felt shocked as her apprentice, the one she had used to fulfill her desires for so many years, would be in charge of her. Shizun felt incredibly superior in that moment, as Tsunade would be at her beck and call then. But for now I still have other women to test, so who knows? Maybe Karinai will beat you both out. He smirked. Both scowled at that, as Karinai was many things, but fit to lead them was not one of them, as the only thing she had was SEC appeal, and even that was weak as she never truly used it. If you two want that head spot, you better prove yourselves as my top wares. So you two will be coming with me to the other holds I visit. Naruto ordered. Both women shivered at that, as that meant they'd get to bed him more often. Let's see which of you can take the most juice shots. All day and night long. Naruto yelled. Both women liked the sound of that. Next day. Both Tsunade and Shizun were covered in Naruto's seed, both their eyes lacking any sign of consciousness. Meanwhile, Naruto was still hard, currently using Shizun's rack for relief with a melon F as he leaked again on her face. My, you certainly have true Uzumaki blood running through your veins, a stuck voice said walking in. Naruto looked and saw Mei Terumi, someone Tsunade had told him about, as she was one of the few women who could claim to be almost on par with Tsunade. I must say it was a heavy blow to the land of water to lose this clan. Mei said as the Uzumaki clan was based in the land of water. Can I ask why you're here? Naruto said seeing a stuck element in her eyes, but also a cunning one as well. Easy, I wanted to understand your motives and intentions. Mei said as every ninja knew information was power. Motives? It's quite simple really. I have a job of saving this world and possibly the other planes of existence. But I'm also enjoying the side perks, Naruto smirked. Yes, I see that. Mei said as she looked at the women into pleasured comas, but you want more, I can see the longing in your eyes and I want to help, she said making Naruto curious, you want to change this world that I see, but you also want happiness and whatever you longing you go after, she said understanding that very well. This land is filled with strife and chaos. Dragons, the civil war. So many issues that I need to resolve. Even if I publicly married Elisif and became High King it would take a long time to fix everything. So I will do whatever it takes to save this land. Be it dragons and itself but that doesn't mean it's all I want. I want a family. I want to live a life that I was denied for so long, Naruto admitted. Mei nodded seeing that Naruto's faction was possibly the most noble despite all the depravity he committed. I wish to offer my services, she said placing her hand on his member, having two women who were Kage should be a great help to you, she said with a blush looking at Tsunade who was the strongest woman in their world. Seeing her like this made Naruto seem much more than any man. You want something else, what is it? Naruto said as he wasn't blind. I want to see the Uzumaki clan restored. Mei said with a serious expression, my grandmother was an Uzumaki and I want our clan to be restored and I want something you have in abundance, she said with a smile. And what is that? Naruto asked as that could literally be anything. Love. Mei said as her life had been absent of love and had been filled with violence as with the civil war in her village and country that had been going on for years, losing so many, she felt like she deserved love for all the pain she went through. I accept your wishes. I shall give you what you longing, Naruto said surprised this seductress was being so serious yet passionate in her truest desires. Not now. Mei said bending down on her knees giving his PP a long lick and a small hot kiss, when we have our night of passion, I'd like a little romance, she said with a grin, and when you earn me, then you can F me as stupid as these two, she said as she took off her panties without removing her skirt, a memento to our inevitable night of passion, she said going over to Tsunade scooping up his seed with a finger and ate it sensually. My god he even tastes amazing she thought walking away with SXL happy sway to her hips. Did she just F blue ball me? Naruto muttered as no woman so far had the audacity or guts to do that to him. Careful Tsunade, I may have found someone who can challenge you, he thought to himself. MSTR. Are you still there? Shizun groaned out asking as her eyes opened up while she laid on the floor. Oh good you're awake. Naruto grinned before he pounced on her and slammed his PP inside her once more to relieve the tension Mei left him with. With Mei. The women Mei passed were dripping with excitement even with some of them in denial. I wonder, how he'll bed me, she thought in wonder as she imagined a bed of roses followed by a rough F by a roaring fireplace. So caught up in her daydream was she that she was only brought out of it by the sight of Karinai in a bed openly fingering herself to the sounds of Naruto F Shizun. Karinai out before she caught sight of Mei staring at her. Embarrassed, the raven-haired woman quickly removed her hands from inside her pants and tried to compose herself before the auburn-haired woman. Can I help you with anything, Mei? Karinai asked, trying to act like she wasn't caught with her hand literally down her pants. Actually yes. Mei said with a smile, how good of a sub are you, she asked her in a simple tone able to recognize the type. Karinai blushed as memories of Anko, binding her and treating her as her sub flooded her mind as the snake MSTRS of the leaf and her best friend often knew how to find new ways to make her CLMX. I like to think I'm a good one, Karinai answered embarrassed. Perfect. Mei said, towering over her, because I need someone to please Naruto in the meantime whenever I tease him. Mei smirked. Karinai blushed at this. Don't do it and I'll rip off your clothes and drag you in front of everyone and finger you till you are begging me to not stop. Mei said, licking her lips. And if I help you? Karinai asked. Mei didn't need to answer as the sound of Tsunade and Shizun screaming hitting the high notes as they climaxed was heard by everyone. I'm in, Karinai said as she couldn't deny that the F she'd get was enticing. Especially for her SBMSSV side. Road. Are you sure these are accurate rumors? Naruto asked his team of Karinai, Mei, Tsunade, and Shizun as they were heading toward the Dawnstar hold. I had Hulda check the rumors. They're not very detailed, but we believe they are accurate. Tsunade said as she looked into more of the dragon attacks and shouts in general. She found out a few were discovered in the region near Dawnstar a few years ago, but the exact location was lost, but with the rise of dragons, the walls with words would be very active. I swear, why is it so cold? Mei said as she was wearing very nice auburn furs as Naruto got her bear's skin to match her hair and she had to admit even with her layers, she still radiated SEC appeal. Karinai was wearing Nordic armor as she liked something to look good and functional, she had truly taken to this world as women were more equals here, except to the Nords. And stormcloaks. Naruto Namikaze, a courier asked, walking up to him getting their attention. I have a message for you mighty Dragonborn, for your hands only, the courier said before running off to make more deliveries. Naruto was surprised when he was given a message, an invitation to dinner, he thought not knowing who this person was, but the offer of his home for killing the guests was a bit of a sweet deal, a manor in a cave that is in the mountains, he thought as that sounded very appealing. It's a slight detour. Tsunade said as while they were heading to Dawnstar this was just a little out the way. 2 hours later. We may want to hide our eyes, Naruto. Tsunade said as she smelt vampire ash and BLD, I think there are dawn guards here, she said as she had run into a few here and there in Whiterun. Naruto nodded, his golden-orange eyes becoming his natural blue. Mei had to admit no matter what Naruto's eye color he looked handsome. Do you wish for assistance? Shizun asked as she saw Naruto eye an orc who was basically advertising he was a dawn guard. No, and I have an idea I can have him make me bloodkin with orcs. Naruto said as he was going to see a few mines in Dawnstar and make a beneficial deal with Adrienne as she was good to him so he'd give her a large discount on any mines he could procure. Plus he did eventually want to go to a few orc strongholds. I can disenchant his armor. Tsunade said as she learned from studying a few bits of Dawn Guard equipment she stole that the enchantment on the armor were tailored to harm and resist vampire powers. Naruto nodded, not liking to leave this to chance as the vampire servant ability needed to work. Tsunade got close as Naruto went to talk to him. I'll need to study these more, she thought to herself as she did her task and weakened the orc's clothing so he was more vulnerable. Now all I have to do is wait for dinner. Naruto thought as he saw a vampire go to where the food was held, or maybe I can save myself some time, he thought to himself. He made himself invisible and saw the wine bottle that was going to be served, thankfully I carry fire salts, he thought to himself as vampires were weak to fire and fire salts basically ignited inside them, he poured a few flakes inside and quickly disappeared. Naruto saw the vampires and knew some of them seemed arrogant and like assholes, but he did learn a few things especially about Harkon the man Mara asked him to kill and where his castle was located. I don't think I could kill everyone there, he thought as the castle was too useful to have destroyed and there were too many vampires, gargoyles, and hellhounds there. He'd need far more power or forces to wage war against that castle. Dinner was soon called and they all went inside. Naruto watched patiently as they began to drink their wine, idiots. He thought as this was Sada patiently waited till they began to cough and smoke started to leak out their mouths. 10 minutes later. The orc of the Dawn Guard was impressed with Naruto's kills. Naruto met with the man in private and then used his vampire servant's ability. Okay, tell me where Castle Dawn Guard is and what valuables you have there, he said getting the information easily. Now I want you to make me a bloodkin after you leave this place, he said, as even though the power would be over by that point the lingering command would be fresh in the orc's mind. Now why did the Dawn Guard attend this party? He asked, as that seemed like the more pressing question since he would've thought they'd attack this place. We were searching for the vampire with the Elder Scroll, the orc said, as that caught Naruto's attention. A vampire with an Elder Scroll? Naruto thought to himself, as it was definitely possible. Why did you think to look here? He asked, wondering if it was in this place. The vampire that died is the one who last saw the vampire in question, the orc said to him. Naruto had to give the Dawn Guard credit, as that was quite a bit of intel he had gathered. After getting the info he released the orc and pretended everything was natural. So you can make me blood kin? He asked him. The orc looked confused for a moment. Yeah, you killed these things, right? He said, unsure of why he offered bloodkin status, but it seemed alright since this person proved themselves and was the Dragonborn to boot. I checked around and there was no sign this guy knew. This place is empty. Naruto said, wanting him to now leave. DMN, thanks anyway, the orc said as he left. Naruto examined the manor, seeing it was nice for a place in a cave. They all decided to spend the day here to assess and catalog all that they found. 1 hour later. Tsunade was looking through the fully stocked room and was studying some bits and pieces of magic the person who left the manor to her MSTR had, and she was impressed, she thought, as she had been working with the seals she and Naruto had developing, and while they did in fact work, they had yet to be able to use them for human travel. They had left a mark on a tree or under some stray stone or in buildings they owned, so they'd have them there, but so far nothing. Maybe, if I used alteration. Tsunade thought, as she believed that was possible, as the magic for teleporting pets was so negligible it was non-existent, and we are his pets. She thought lustfully, liking the thought of her being summoned by her MSTR whenever he was corny. But for now she'd focus on point-to-point teleportation. Something of that nature would be too complicated for a spell she's just started working on. With Naruto. Naruto and Shizun were out of the manor in the wilderness to see if there were any supplies or animals to hunt nearby. As the two trotted through the snow on Shadowmere, the two came upon a sight. A building being burned down. Great, more vampires, he sighed before he smelled something else. Someone's BLD, vampire caster robes, he thought, as many who used magic desired them as they were powerful for destructive magic. He saw a woman alive on the ground, vigilance of Stender. And these idiots are playing with their food? Idiots, he thought to himself, as a wounded animal was nothing to scoff at. And considering the vigilance hated all Daedric origin species such as werewolves and vampires, these vampires were being very arrogant. He signaled to Shizun on his side and they readied some weapons and some fire spells. Few minutes later. SHT. Naruto said as Tsunade was healing Shizun, as one of the vampires had a dagger and before they turned her to ash, they stabbed Shizun. So he had to throw her and the wounded woman on Shadowmere and rush back to the manor. Tsunade took them both to Whiterun via teleporting, which Tsunade was testing and managed. Impressing him greatly. Uzumaki. He thought with a chuckle as he and Tsunade truly lived to their bloodline, recreating the technique similar to his father's with a power different from chakra no less. Naruto spent the remaining time looking through the Blood Chill manor and walked in on Mei doing stretches naked. Hello Naruto. Mei said sensually as she bent downward. You really are taking this teasing to a new level. Naruto said, not entirely sure if he should be impressed. It's all to tempt you. Mei said with a smirk. You know, for a ninja, I'm surprised you are so honest. Naruto said to her, as it was pretty much standard for ninja to lie. Most people fail to see the truth is a much harsher weapon and lies can only do so much for a time. Mei said with a smile. Naruto had to give her that, as it was true, the truth is a dangerous thing and was absolute, while lies were temporary, were similar in that regard, he thought to himself as he never lied to people. So see anything of interest? Mei purred out as she bent backwards, showing off her flexibility as she teased him. You're nice, Peach, and how you're a virgin. Naruto said as he could tell, she never had SEC before. I guess it would be obvious with how many virgins you've deflowered, huh? Mei asked, smirking as she transitioned into handstand and spread her legs outward to show off her peach and snatch. That too. Naruto said with a chuckle as he admired her flexibility. Getting hard at the sight. As much fun as it would be to see what you could do to me, I'm still looking forward to our date first. But for now my pet will handle all your needs. Mei said as she leaned her legs back and stood up in a very SXL way. Pet? Naruto questioned with a raised eyebrow. Karinai. Mei said as she clapped her hands. Immediately after she clapped, the raven-haired woman entered the room fully NDE and bowed. Yes, MSTRS. She asked. My man is irked and needs you to satisfy him. Mei said with a smile. Karinai blushed as she looked at her student's lifelong crush, feeling weak under his gaze. Wow, you work fast, Mei. Already having her as a SBMSSV pet, Naruto whistled, actually impressed. Karinai was already broken, I just took control. Mei said with a smile, now have your way with her and shatter her mind, she said, happily leaving, but not before she added a bit more sway to her hips and made sure everything jiggled. FTs. Naruto growled as he was still on the fence, respecting her longing to only tease him and work him up. However, he was also losing his patience with the former Mizukage. He took a calming breath, however, and looked towards Karinai. The raven-haired sensei of his friends. The lover of Asuma before he died. A mother to a baby girl before Pain attacked the village and now was here due to his actions. Is this what you actually want, Karinai? Or is Mei just making you do this? I want this, Naruto. Before coming here, what have I done? I have never done much as a ninja. I have failed at everything. I tried to uphold my family name and failed. I was the last of my class to be promoted. Karinai said as she felt she failed and lost so much and saw this place as a second chance at life. Naruto understood that as all his life he sometimes wanted things to be different. I can't even be a mother to my own daughter now, Karinai said with tears running down her eyes. I'm here and she's in the shinobi world. Never knowing how much she means to me. Karinai cried out. She didn't mind this world, but she'd throw it all away to be with her daughter. Naruto held her close enough to him where she could freely let out her tears. Her sobs stained his armor as she wept into his chest while he rubbed her back soothingly. Do you want me to find a way to send you back to our old world? Naruto asked as he didn't like the idea of separation between a newborn and their mother. And if she asked him to, he'd find a way to send her back. He wasn't a goody-goody anymore because of this world, but he wasn't heartless in it. And no. I'm sorry. I know going back is impossible. I need to accept this as my new life now. And I intend to make the best of it, Karinai said after her sobs calmed down. We all have a second chance, and Karinai, it was our sacrifice that saved everyone. Naruto said as the Shinigami gave him a choice, his life for everyone else, it was a simple choice for him. It just also affected her now. Thank you. Look at me. A Jonin-level kunoichi crying like an academy student, Karinai chuckled in depreciated tone. Karinai, you may not be the best, but you were the most human and caring. You helped Kiba, Shino, and Hinata grow into the ninja they were. Hinata saved my life. You helped shape her into the person that did that, and she's alive because of what we did. Naruto said to her as Hinata would forever be the bravest person he'd have ever met as she charged head first into danger to save his life. I see why she fell for you, Karinai muttered, seeing the passion and dedication Naruto spoke with. She understood why her student had fallen for the former Jinchuriki. Hey, how'd Mei or Enko break you? Naruto asked, wondering how that happened. Mei didn't break me, as Enko had me broken years ago. Long before I dated Asuma. She has an incredibly skilled tongue, and her old apartment had an entire room that was a sect dungeon. She used to chain me to a table and leave me there with a chakra-powered VBRTR for a week straight. Karinai admitted, blushing. Naruto had a lot more respect for Enko now. And what about me, Karinai? Who truly owns your body, he asked, grpng her peach. Ah. You all do. She out. Oh no. By the end of this you'll have one true owner. And it's gonna be me. Naruto growled as he pushed Karinai against the wall and started to grope and caress her body. His hands moved from her peach upwards. When his hands reached for her large melons however, he pinched her tips and... Milk huh? I guess it's to be expected from a new mother, Naruto smirked seeing Karinai's tips leaking milk. Ah. Naruto. Please. Karinai out at his touching and teasing her melons. Oh, I always wondered what this was like, you know, Naruto said before he bent forward and latched his mouth around her left milky NPL. Sling and licking at it like a newborn would. Ah. That's not for adults. Karinai panted out as his tongue was driving her wild. Tasty. Naruto grinned as he lightly bit her sensitive NPL. Teething it and making the raven-haired woman scream. Oh God. Karinai screamed as Naruto's teasing and eating was driving her crazy. I prefer MSTR or Lord personally, Naruto smirked before nibbling at her NPL once more making the former Jonin scream to the very heavens. Karinai fought back as he drank from her. Will I just be his cow, she thought, wondering if that is what he'd use her for. Delicious, Naruto grinned as he pulled off of her NPL. Why don't you have a taste? Naruto smirked as he pushed her tips upward with his hands towards her face. Karinai as she ate her own NPL feeling very lewd, drinking her own milk for Naruto's amusement and viewing pleasure. You know, I always wondered if my species could breed. It may be fun to see if you lactate after I turn you. Naruto said with a grin seeing her tense in excitement. I'm not undead like actual vampires and werewolves can breed, so I'm gonna assume yes, Naruto thought in retrospect. How does it feel to be like you? Karinai asked as she did her own study into both species. Like a true apex beast. The werewolf and vampire BLD both demand domination over others. Throw in my dragon BLD to be the strongest ever and you have a true beast. One that seeks power and domination, Naruto admitted. Karinai quivered in both fear and excitement about having a taste of such power. Will I finally be strong under him, she thought, wondering if she could be that strong. I see it in your eyes. You wish to know how strong you'll become, right? Well, no matter what, you'd have been able to kill Itachi in your fight with this power. But in regards to my power, you'll be my breeding stock rather than a challenge, my woman in this land, and there will be much for us to experience together. And I will love you as much as my other lovers, he said to her seeing her blush brightly. Karinai thought on this hard. Part of her felt like accepting. This would be a betrayal to everything she once was in the shinobi world. A betrayal to her lover and student. But the power offered, the love offered. It enticed her. I want you to turn me. Karinai said, surrendering in acceptance as Naruto nodded before biting her neck, resulting in a powerful shockwave to erupt from Karinai. Shaking the very manner as Naruto was pushed back by the force of her transformation. She was exuding raw power. What? Naruto asked, surprised, not expecting this much power from her after turning. She was stronger than Maven even. Karinai smiled in a SNSL confidence that betrayed what she was feeling moments ago. MSTR. She said, purring out the name. Excitement oozing out of her. Well, you're officially the strongest woman I've turned now. At least hybrid power-wise, Naruto said as he was still overall stronger than Karinai, but her power while turned was still incredible. I don't care. Karinai said, getting down on her knees and bowed. I serve you, MSTR, you are my everything. Please use me till you are satisfied, she said, wanting to repay how he made her feel, how liberated he made her. Open your mouth, Naruto ordered as he quickly strpped off his armor to join her in NDTY. Karinai did as instructed and stuck out her tongue. Awaiting his next order. It didn't take long for Naruto to shove his PP into her awaiting mouth. As her hot, wet mouth enveloped his PP. Pretty good. Naruto said, petting her head as if she was a pet and making the woman shudder in happiness. So happy was she that she did something that surprised him. She started to face herself on his pages, using her own hands to push and pull the back of her head and hair. DMN. Now that's dedication. Naruto groaned out in lust. Karinai pulled away. Thank you for this gift, Mstr. Servicing you is my true calling, she said, planting kisses on his member. When we find Enko, Karinai, I want you to shatter her mind. Naruto said with a smile. As you command, my Mstr, Karinai spoke up reverently. She would follow his instructions no matter what he ordered. Such was her loyalty to her Mstr. Now let's go lie down, Naruto said as he went to the Mstr bedroom with Karinai following after him. Breeze home. The door to the Whiterun home of Naruto and Tsunade lightly and slowly swung open as a familiar blonde Nord woman entered. Sneaking into the house, Alfina Greymane entered the home of her crush since Tsunade and two women had randomly arrived into the city without the guard's knowledge. Tsunade was happy her vampire powers allowed her to hide in the shadows as she watched the woman enter her home with Naruto. Let's see what you do, Alfina, Tsunade thought. Alfina made it to the Mstr bedroom and as she took a deep breaths, she went over to the nearby nightstand and found some clothing belonging to Naruto. Tsunade chuckled seeing the strong Nord woman smell Naruto's clothing and chuckled even more when she took a pair of her panties and sniffed them. Guess Naruto and I have an admirer, she thought as Shizun did some similar things in their travels like steal her panties and brass. Alfina, having collected her prize, started to walk out until she saw something out of the corner of her eye on the floor. Something that looked like a magical rune. But she noticed it was not one that was a magical trap. This was a different styled rune. One she had no knowledge of. She bent down to get a closer look, trying not to activate the rune if it was a trap. Smart, Tsunade thought, appreciating a woman who was intellectual. Even if Alfina was more a warrior than mage, she had some knowledge at least. But sorry Alfina, your mind is going to be destroyed and those little trinkets will mean nothing, she thought as she snapped her fingers and Alfina was gone in the blink of an eye. With Karinai. Ah, Mstr, your PP is incredible. Karinai as Naruto's PP was breaching her WMB and she felt like he was trying to breed her. I can feel your magnificent PP spearing against my WMB, she out depravedly as Naruto had a hold on her hips making her bounce on his PP. Both soon were alerted when they saw Alfina Greymane appear next to the bed. Alfina was surprised to see new surroundings and blushed seeing Naruto f some woman she never met. He's not stopping, she thought with a blush as Naruto wasn't stopping his thrusts into Karinai. Ah! Who is this Mstr? Another devoted wear like myself? Karinai asked with a crazed look in her eyes. No, this is Alfina Greymane. She often tried to get me drunk and has often broken into my house. She's a fierce warrior and very stubborn, Naruto said with a smirk at Alfina while he still left Karinai. Ah! Do you wish to make her a pathetic wear like me, Mstr? Karinai asked. I don't know, but she needs to be punished for breaking into my home, Naruto said as he finally stopped thrusting into Karinai, getting a whiny No. Please use me more. I live to serve. Breed me, Mstr. Breed this worthless wear. Karinai begged in utter craze. Alfina was scared seeing how broken this woman was as it turned her on greatly how strong and powerful Naruto was, but she was scared of what he could do to her in bed. So you broke into my home, stole clothing, and intruded on my time with my newest wear. What do you have to say, Alfina? Naruto asked as he pulled out of Karinai. I'm sorry, I admired you, Naruto, please forgive me, I offer to you my body as payment. Alfina offered with a bow. And I thought you were a strong, Nord woman. Naruto chuckled at how easily she submitted herself to him. I know the ultimate warrior when I see it. I have seen you protect my home, Whiterun. Your enemies quiver and you fight with honor. I would be lucky to serve you as any Nord woman would. To be bedded by such a strong, powerful, warrior. It is a calling I'd be glad to answer, Alfina spoke without hesitation. Naruto chuckled as Nord women were as passionate about fighting just as much as the Uzumaki were. No. Please MSTR. Finish using me first. Then decide what to do with this bee. Karinai yelled desperately. Alfina, you will obey me? Naruto asked, getting a nod. I need to finish rewarding my newest wear, he said, slapping her peach. You will lick her as I destroy her, he said, smiling as Karinai in delight. Alfina blushed in surprise, not expecting such an order, but she nodded and strppd down. Meanwhile Naruto reinserted his PP inside Karinai, making her scream in wanton lust. Ah! Master's PP. I feel complete with it inside me. Breed me MSTR. Breed me to your heart's content. My holes are available to you whenever you wish. F me while I'm asleep if you wish. Karinai shouted. She really wants that baby. Naruto thought to himself, guessing Karinai was a bit baby crazy. Ah! It's slamming against my WMB. No other feeling can ever compare to this. My body belongs to you. Karinai shouted in crazed rapture as Alfina joined in and knelt to where Karinai's CNT was being rammed by Naruto's PP. Alfina ate Karinai's PP as Naruto slammed his into it, her face being sprayed by her PP as Naruto's ball hit her face. These two are not human, she thought, as Naruto's ball were larger than anything she had seen before and Karinai was coming so much it could drown someone. Yes. Ruin my holes MSTR. Dump your load into your worthless juice dumpster. Make my stomach bloat from your glorious seed filling me. Karinai shouted as her eyes rolled into the back of her head from joy as she climaxed over and over and over again on Naruto's PP and Alfina's tongue. Alfina was taken back as Naruto did in fact pour his seed into Karinai as she watched the woman's stomach bloat. Women should worship him, she thought to herself. Ah! I can feel my WMB being flooded. I can feel your SPRM invading my depths and fertilizing my eggs. I'm PRGNNT. I'm definitely PRGNNT. Thank you MSTR for the gift of your child. Karinai yelled in her crazed state of mind as Naruto pulled out of her and looked to Alfina. His PP still hard after his load. Alfina was in awe seeing how broken Karinai was and how hard Naruto still was. Naruto saw Tsunade's panties and smiled as he grabbed them and shoved them in Alfina's mouth, making the blonde Nord woman GG on the underwear. Oh, that looks like fun. You should choke me with my own panties next time MSTR. Karinai giggled in lunacy as she started to play with herself. Alfina ate on Tsunade's panties and as she savored the taste as Naruto and Tsunade haunted the dreams of many Nords, as many believed them to be Nords with their hair and their strength made them even more desirable, but she loved both men and women, so being between them was her personal fantasy. Two strong people that could dominate and put her in her place. That was paradise for her. So caught up in her fantasy was she that she didn't realize that Naruto pushed her onto her back and was holding her legs apart. His PP poised before her CNT. She screamed when she felt him enter her. Ulfric is a joke, this man is a true Nord and should lead Skyrim, she thought to herself. Karinai watched as Alfina quickly broke from just a few thrusts of her MSTR as her PP gushed out juices. The SLT and her family name meant something. It means nothing now in the presence of my MSTR though, she thought in amusement watching Naruto PND into Alfina's TWT. DMN, you're tight. Naruto grunted out, thrusting into the Greymane daughter. No MSTR, you are so big. Alfina said, spitting out the panties to answer him. Who said those could get out? Karinai growled as she grabbed them and shoved them back down Alfina's throat again. Seeing her disregard of them as an affront to her MSTR's orders, spit them out again without permission and I will make sure all you taste is panties worn by my master's wares, she said threateningly. Alfina tightened around Naruto's PP at the threat. Finding the thought RSNG. I think she likes that idea, Karinai, Naruto said with a smirk. Then she is unworthy to be called your ware, she is better as a pet. Karinai said as she smiled, "Do you hear that, Alfina? You'll be my MSTR's pet," she said, thinking it'd be humorous to have her in that state. Alfina tightened once more at the threat, finding the scenario enjoyable. She enjoyed having the mighty Dragonborn doing as he pleased with her. Pet or wear, either way she'd be happy to serve him. "I thought a strong Nord like you would try and fight for a top spot. Maybe you're just too SBMSSV, Naruto grinned as he pulled the panties out of her mouth to allow her to answer. "We Nord women know when we are not strong enough to please our men in bed, it is our duty to make sure to find ways to please our lover," Alfina said to him lustfully. "Then I guess I only have 5 women in line for my top B. Oh well, I'll enjoy having you as my pet, Alfina. You exist to service me." Naruto grinned as he slammed his hips into her over and over again. The night went on and on with the screams of women orgasming. Next morning, Mei was blushing a bright red as she heard the screams all throughout the night. He broke her, she thought, unable to believe he broke Karinai so fast. She walked over to the room to see the results, her curiosity piqued. However, her eyes widened seeing not just Karinai but another woman in bed with him. Alfina was unconscious and filled with juices, it leaking out of her holes with her eyes rolled back into her head. "You're next," Karinai said lustfully in her exhausted state. She then screamed as she felt Naruto move into her once more. "Oh God, yes, MSTR. PND me till I pass out," Karinai yelled despite her exhaustion. Mei looked on wide-eyed, having heard Naruto go at it with 2 women all night. And the hung BSTRD was still raring to go. "Find a date spot soon, cause I may just grab you and take you if I wait too long," Naruto growled at Mei as he pended into the tired Karinai. 2 hours later. "Get dressed," Naruto ordered Karinai after leaking inside of her again while he got dressed. Karinai stood at attention and proceeded to get dressed. Naruto felt a powerful sensation in his BLD, like adrenaline was pouring into his veins. Dragon, he thought, able to tell one was in the area. Roar. A guttural, animalistic roar came from outside the cavern housing their manor. "What was that?" Mei asked, having never heard a creature like that before. "A dragon," Naruto said as he dashed out the cave, Dragonbane in hand. "Wait for me, MSTR." Karinai yelled, dashing after him, wanting to see her MSTR slaughter a dragon in glorious combat. "I better go with them," Mei muttered, following behind her. Naruto saw the massive beast hovering above the cave, breathing fire at them. Where was he when the vampires were here, he thought to himself. Dovahkiin. The dragon growled. "I'd tell you to give Aljuan a message, but you're gonna die," Naruto said as he could tell this dragon was nothing compared to the higher class of dragons. "Aljuan will reward me for bringing him your carcass," the dragon growled as it flew and swooped down at him, breathing a torrent of flame at Naruto as he did so. Naruto rolled his eyes. "Don Lahas." Naruto shouted out a purple blast at the dragon as he flew down at him. The blast made the dragon weaken and it growled. "You are a vindictive Dova," he said in anger. "Thank you," Naruto said as with drained vitality the dragon will have weaker stamina to keep flying and less power to do his shouts, leaving close combat. "Perhaps, but your mates will suffer first for this transgression." The dragon roared, sending flames at Karinai and Mei as they exited the cavern. The flames fired at the two, but Mei reacted with her hands covered in orange magic before a torrent of lava fired from her palms and overcome the dragon's flames as well as splashing into the dragon's eyes, burning them and making him roar in pain. Naruto dashed to him and stabbed him in his throat with Dragonbane. "Thanks for the soul," he thought to himself as the dragon started to disintegrate and turn skeletal, feeling the soul enter his body and empower him. 1 hour later. Naruto removed the dragon bones piece by piece and what little scales remained he stored in Bloodchill, but after that the group proceeded to Dawnstar. "So what shout did you learn from absorbing that dragon's soul, my MSTR?" Karinai asked. "I actually need the word. The dragon souls I have helped me unlock it, kinda why we need the walls. It's a 2-part job being the Dragonborn." Naruto said with a chuckle. I'll look into the local mage to see if he knows anything. Mei said as she assumed mages studied the walls. Naruto nodded as they went to the hold. As they entered they saw it was very local but also exposed. To their surprise it had a museum in the home of a cultist. A dagger, huh? Naruto thought as he could sense the perversion of magic in that broken hilt. You look like you're quite the capable adventurer. Perhaps you'd be interested in helping me with something. I'd pay you for it. The man who owned the museum, Silas Vesuvius, offered. He's trying to use me, but I'll play along. Naruto thought learning where each fragment was. I visited close to these places. I'll have Tsunade gather the pieces, he thought to himself as he'd add it to his list of things to do. Thank you. Soon Marun's razor will be restored. The man said excited. Naruto left and went along the shoreline seeing the secondary entrance to the former Dark Brotherhood and claimed the space for himself with Karinai and Mei after killing the ghosts and troll inside. 1 hour later. After taking the sanctuary for himself as a new base, Naruto walked through the hold and saw something. How tired everyone was. The villagers all looked like they wanted to sleep but were also too afraid to fall asleep. Geez, everyone looks like they're gonna drop from lack of sleep, he said seeing a miner nearly drop his head into a rock he was mining from how tired he was. Must be a magical ailment. Tsunade may be best to get involved. Mei said as it was likely the case. No. If it was an ailment the court wizard could fix it. This is something else, Naruto said before he walked over to the Wind Peak Inn and entered. As he entered he saw people drinking heavily at the bar. As if drowning their sorrows. Curious, Naruto walked over to a young, auburn-haired, Nord woman playing the lute over by a fire. Here to request a song, milord? She asked. The Dragonborn comes. Naruto said as Mei chuckled at that remark. An excellent choice, the bard said as she began to sing. Our hero, claims a warrior's heart. I tell you the Dragonborn comes. With a voice-wielding power of the ancient Nord art. Believe the Dragonborn comes. It's an end to the evil of all Skyrim's foes. Beware the Dragonborn comes. For the darkness has passed and the legend yet grows. You'll know the Dragonborn comes, the bard woman sang for the tavern to hear. Mei and Karinai were silent as the song sounded more like a prayer and anthem. It made them realize how important Naruto truly was to this world. Thank you. I absolutely love that song. I do wish one day to meet the new Dragonborn, the woman named Katria said as Naruto and the tavern applauded. Naruto chuckled and remained silent, not wishing to reveal himself yet. Especially if something was causing the people to have nightmares. As he looked around the tavern he saw something amongst the people in the inn. A male, Dunmare priest of Mara. Not paying attention to the music. Just stoically having a drink. As if deep in thought. Naruto walked over and sat next to the man and listened carefully to the information. 20 minutes later. Naruto talked to Irander and saw the man seemed to know the root cause of all this. I swear, just like back home, he thought as someone pulled something and it bit everyone in the peach. We need to head to Nightcaller Temple nearby. Vermina's skull of corruption is the cause. Irander explained. A Daedra who steals dreams? Mei asked, wondering why some god would steal dreams instead of something like a soul or power or something else. The skull of corruption harvests dreams as an energy source that it can use to make the staff stronger when it is fired at a target. A perfect artifact for a Daedric prince of nightmares and dreams if you think about it. Irander explained as he finished his ale and stood up. Come, we must go, Irander told them. Naruto, Mei, and Karinai followed but had suspicions on their new ally. He seemed to know a lot about the situation despite being a priest of Mara. As the four trudged through the snow, Naruto pulled out his blade and suddenly slashed an incoming figure as a snow saber cat pounced from the snow towards him. Beheading the beast in seconds. I didn't even see him draw his blade, Irander thought in shock. Not having seen the Dragonborn move. Let's go before more creatures attack us. Naruto said as he cleaned his blade and sheathed it. The four made their way to the temple door. As they were about to enter, Erander stopped them. Before we enter, you should know something. A long time ago orcs invaded the temple and attacked the priests within. The priests in response released a gas called the miasma. It put everyone inside to sleep. Erander explained. Not a bad line of defense. Sleeping orcs will get enraged and once awoken will kill the people near them. Naruto thought to himself as he could tell the air was heavier here for some reason. I fear that once we open the door the priests and orcs will awaken. We must be cautious, Erander explained. What about the miasma? Karinai asked him. The miasma will dissipate once the door is opened. However, those who awaken will be hostile, Erander explained. Karinai is in her element. If this miasma acts like genjutsu, she'll be able to protect herself and us if need be. Naruto thought to himself. Come, we must destroy the skull, Erander said as they entered the temple. Coming into a church-like room that looked rather small with no visible exits. Just a wall. We must head to the inner sanctum, Erander explained as he walked over to the wall and blasted fire at it. After a few moments the wall became intangible, allowing them to enter. The three followed the priest of Mara. I swear this temple looks less like a temple and more of a place of blood sacrifice. Mei said as the others agreed, as when they entered the miasma was visible and they could see the magical shields. Look! There it is! Erander said, looking through some bars down to another room in the center of the temple. With the skull of corruption in the middle of it. The skull of corruption, he said. Naruto didn't need his former sage abilities to sense great evil and discord. We gotta destroy that thing, he thought, as this place needed to be burned further to the ground. Let's move, Erander said as the four moved down a curving staircase, seeing some awakening orcs. Damn it! Erander yelled as he pulled out his mace. Naruto gave the others some looks and they all felt this seemed off. After going from room to room they soon learned the man was a priest to this place and abandoned his fellow priests. To abandon one's comrades to this fate seemed cruel, to forever be trapped in an endless slumber only to be used as a pawn. I see the looks you have for me. I understand it. And I will forever live with my actions. But regardless of your feelings on what I did, the skull must be destroyed. And to do that we must get past the barrier. Erander explained. They sadly agreed and went further into the temple looking for a book and a potion, battling orcs and former priests who attacked them. 20 minutes later. You do understand they'll finish the job if I die, right? Naruto said as he hated unknown potions. I promise it will not harm you. It can only work on those loyal to Vermina or those who are uninitiated, Erander explained. Buddy, I am loyal to me. Naruto said as that was the truth, as well as being loyal to the Shinigami, as no one betrayed death. Then let us hope this works, unless one of your ladies here is willing to drink it, Erander told him. Naruto sighed and drank the potion before following in the memory of a priest known as Casimir. Naruto had to admit it was trippy to see things through another's eyes, and soon after running past all the conflict he made it to the other side of the barrier and activated it before waking up in his own body and deactivated it, never doing that again, he said, feeling like he needed a drink. It worked. To think the torpor worked. I would love to know what you saw, but the staff comes first, Erander said as the four continued on and found themselves finally in the inner sanctum. With two Vermina priests. One's Naruto had seen through Casimir's eyes. Varen. Thorak. You're alive. Erander said in shock. Casimir, you vile traitor. Varen growled. No. I wasn't ready to sleep, Erander said. Enough, Casimir. You'll regret ever betraying our lord. Thorak growled. Naruto didn't need the play-by-play as he pretty much pieced all of this together. Casimir ran, leaving these people to their fate, and they were pissed at him for not suffering along with them, must have woken up or something, he thought, as it was possible their devotion acted as a shield of some sort. He didn't have much time to think on it though, as the two rushed at Erander but were quickly killed by Karinai, who sliced them with her dual swords. Erander looked on in sadness at his two former friends. Their words had wounded him, no matter how true they may have been. "It's time for the skull to be destroyed," he said, walking up to the skull and started chanting while Naruto, Karinai, and Mei stood aside. "He's deceiving you. When the ritual's complete, the skull will be free and then Erander will turn on you. Quickly. Kill him now. Kill him and claim the skull for your own. VERYYYY commands you." A female voice ordered in their minds as Erander continued his spell to destroy the skull. "Sorry B, but I am going to serve my own needs," Naruto thought as he made a quick prayer to Mara and knocked out Erander. "Karinai here," Naruto said, tossing her the staff. "Thank you my MSTR," Karinai said with a reverent bow as he held her new staff. "We may need to redesign that staff," Naruto said as it didn't suit Karinai's style. "What should we do with him?" Mei asked, gesturing to the unconscious Erander. "Let him think he destroyed it," Naruto said, as he might actually buy it without influence. "As you wish," Mei responded as the three left back towards Dawnstar. Having betrayed a Daedric prince and a priest of Mara. All in a day's work. Dawnstar. Naruto, Karinai, and Mei went back to the Wind Peak Inn to rest for the night. "Naruto," a familiar voice said, calling to him. "Crayup." Naruto thought as he saw Mei and Karinai were asleep before he pinched the bridge of his nose in irritation. "What is it this time, Mara? Upset I knocked out your priest?" Naruto asked. "It has been some time, yet Harkon still lives," Mara said to him. "Oh, my apologies that I didn't immediately confront AF Vampire Lord with limited equipment to try and take him out. God forbid I prepare myself and get stronger first," Naruto snarked at the goddess of love. "I want you to go to a mountain, the one who passed was looking for Tsunade, she is Harkon's daughter," Mara said to him. Naruto guessed this wasn't a request and got dressed and left. 1 hour later. "Lot of vampires in here," Naruto thought, thinking he'd need to stick to fire spells due to vampires' weakness to fire. "Foolish mortal. I shall drink your blood like wine," a vampire with a sword yelled, dashing at Naruto. "YOL." Naruto shouted, incinerating the vampire as he screamed in agony. Naruto dashed inside and summoned a flame Atronak for minor assistance. I forgot how hot these things are," Naruto said in regards to the flame Atronak he summoned. "What the hell is wrong with me?" he muttered before shaking his head as he ran to join his summon in battle. Few minutes later. "The F kinda cave is this?" Naruto asked as this place seemed a few hundreds-year old. "I thought Mara was kidding with how old this PP is," he thought as he fought giant spiders and more vampires before making it to what seemed like part of a castle. "Shouldn't you be focusing on the giant spiders? Truly they're probably the biggest threat to us all," Naruto said to a vampire he just stabbed with one of his swords in their throat. "Gak grk," the vampire gargled out, choking on their blood. Naruto just rolled his eyes as he was glad to not be like them. So reliant on blood. He could go for months without blood and still not look like them. So he pulled his blade out and watched his Atronak blast fire at a group of spiders nearby, incinerating them. "This thing seems more alive than what I have seen," Naruto thought to himself as the flames seemed more violent and potent. Even compared to most Atronaks he had faced in the wilds, this one seemed much more awakened, he supposed was the best word. Regardless of that thought, the Dragonborn and Flame Atronak laid waste upon the vampires as they made their way deeper into the cave, until coming upon a bunch of braziers on a circular platform. A puzzle. Naruto thought, seeing movable braziers, and when one clicked he saw a purple outline. No one could make it this easy, could they? He thought before remembering Skyrim was filled with morons. Why is everyone in Skyrim AF moron? He asked aloud before he started moving the braziers while his Atronak kept blasting vampires. "Can I keep you around permanently?" Naruto asked, genuinely impressed. The Atronach danced around him. He took that as a sign of agreement before he finished the puzzle, and soon a square coffin arose from the floor. "Ah!" A feminine scream came from the box. Not sure if I should be surprised or not. Naruto thought, seeing Anko Mitarashi, now a vampire, eating out who he assumed was Tsurana, who seemed to be a little dazed. "I've been here for months. How long has she been doing this?" he thought to himself, seeing Anko not even looking or noticing the coffin opening. "Ready to go again?" Anko asked, smirking as she nibbled Tsurana's CLT lightly to drive her wild. "Why yes, mstrs. Tsurana out in her daze." "Heh, too easy," Anko smirked as she bit the CLT of Tsurana a little harder, making the vampire woman cry out in lust as she climaxed HRD on Anko's face. "Hey Anko," Naruto said, letting her know she was free. "'Bout time you showed up, brat." "We've been waiting," Anko said as she stood up and checked him out. "How looking good, brat, and hey, what's that smell?" Anko asked, taking a sniff. "Oh ho, uf Karinai." Anko cackled. "I did more than that," Naruto said with a grin. Anko felt it in her bones. The brat she remembered from the Chunin exams had progressed far and became powerful. No, more than powerful, as if he could battle on an unprecedented scale. "So this is who I was sent to find, huh?" Naruto said, looking at Tsurana behind Anko. She was panting from Anko's earlier assault of her nether regions. "Yes," Mara said, speaking through the Atronach. "Tsurana is unlike her father in every way," she said to him. "How long have you been in control of my Atronach?" Naruto asked. "I wasn't, but I had the soul of someone from your world using the flame spirit," Mara said to him simply. "Someone from my world?" Naruto asked, confused, as that seemed more like the work of the Shinigami. "Yes, I assist the Shinigami in certain activities in this and your world. In return he offers me souls of those under my domain," Mara said to him. "Alright, so whose soul did you put in there?" Anko asked the love goddess, more curious on what was happening. "Makoto Uchiha, the mother of Itachi and Sasuke Uchiha," Mara said to them. "So if I plow this Atronach, I'm banging Sasuke's mom?" Naruto asked. "In a manner of speaking, but before that, Tsurana," Mara yelled, getting the woman's attention as she was very respectful of Mara. "This man is now the husband to your mother and you as well. He is doing a task which involves ending your father. Assist him to the best of your ability or face my wrath," she said to her, knowing of Tsurana's indecisive nature. "Is this actually something you can do? I thought vampires were under Sanguine's domain," Naruto asked. "It is my domain when vampires disgrace my blessings and Sanguine does not care for his creations," Mara said to him. "Also, our vampiric line was actually created by Molag Bal," Tsurana said. "Whichever," Mara said, as many Deidre laid claim to certain people or certain groups if at all possible. "Oh, if it's pissing off Molag Bal then it's fine," Naruto said simply with a grin. "Now Naruto, as you are keeping your end of the bargain, I shall reward you for your progress," Mara said as the Atronach glowed before seemingly becoming a human woman with long black hair and red armor resembling the Atronach. "Makoto Uchiha is aware of her child's crimes to you. She has sworn an oath to serve and obey you. She is yours," she said, as Mara knew of the sad marriage this woman lead and believed Naruto was a more proper fit. "Farewell Naruto, may next we speak be when Harkon is dead," she said as Makoto soon took control. "So I'm now married to two vampires, one whom I haven't even met and probably has no idea about me, along with having Anko and the mother of my former teammate that tried to kill me as part of my inner circle. This day is weird," Naruto deadpanned, watching Tsurana get dressed and pick up a large scroll on her back. "I don't know, a lot of people would pay to have a mother-daughter combo, let alone their rival/enemy's mother as their be," Anko said to him. "I'm not complaining, just saying this is a weird day. Also, you're not getting dressed?" Naruto asked the NDE, vampire, Anko. "Why bother?" Anko asked with a smirk. "I'm a CC vampire be now. The cold doesn't bother me," she cackled. Naruto rolled his eyes at that remark. 2 hours later at Blood Chill Manor. "You were gone 4 hours. What the hell did you even do? Mei asked, seeing Naruto re-enter the manor with 2 vampires and a flame Atronak-looking woman in his midst. Keeping my end of a deal. Naruto said as Mei didn't know about the deal he made with Mara, so she was confused, so he filled her and Karinai in. So you're married now? Karinai asked with a wicked glint in her eyes. Technically I was married before, as Mara gave me Harkon's marriage when I first met her. Naruto said. To a woman you've never even met, Mei pointed out. Naruto took that into consideration, but he had Tsunade draw him a picture, as the girl was a talented artist. Even if it was a sketch, the mother was a looker. I see where you get your looks. If he doesn't bang her, maybe I will. Enko smirked at Tsunade, who blushed. Maybe Naruto will let me lick you slts clean when he's done, she said with a Cheshire grin. Tsunade blushed, as when she was a child her mother taught her the ways of Mara and to honor her teachings, and the goddess herself was telling her to obey this man who was married to her mother, or sister, as they were both true vampires. So what's the next move, Mstr? Karinai asked Naruto curiously on what he had planned. Any word on that vigilant Tsunade and Shizun are healing? Naruto asked. They are fine, and so is the teleporting magic. Tsunade said with a smile as she appeared so silently. Naruto nodded. Then let's see if she knows anything, Naruto said as he wanted to speak with the Vigilant of Stender. Figure out what they knew about the vampires they encountered. I shall bring her to you, Mstr, Karinai said calmly as she went to the teleportation rune before disappearing. About 5 minutes later she reappeared with the Vigilant woman in tow, bound at the wrists. Abominations, the woman said, spitting in Naruto's face, which resulted in all the women whom he had betted pressing her to the ground and point their available weapons. 10 minutes later. Gotta give the woman some credit. Naruto thought using some of his vampire powers and so far learned some things he didn't know, like the Dawn Guard had a castle as their base and that this woman's church had assisted them, and the Silver Hand. Better make sure Aela gets this info, he thought, as the Silver Hand were butchers and idiots, even more so than wild werewolves. You got what you wanted. Now you better finish what those vampires started, or I will end you abominations when I'm free. The vigilant woman named Keeper Karset growled in fury at the Dragonborn and his allies. His powers could only make her more slightly susceptible without fully turning her. It didn't make her an instant ally and only worked for a short time. I've met my fair share of your followers and people who wear your necklaces. Imagine the fallout if the Dragonborn renounces your beliefs. Naruto said as he liked their hidden status of people not knowing what they were. Go ahead. The order is gone by those vampires. I'm all that is left. And I'd rather die than become something like you. Karset growled before getting slapped by Karinai. You dare insult my Mstr, you pathetic bee? Karinai yelled in pure fury. Why stay with your order? Why not join us? We are on a noble quest to save Skyrim from dragons, and lest you forget, we saved you from the vampires and treated you. Naruto said as he saw this woman was noble and knew she had to see the dragon attacks. All who are spawned from the Daedra must be purged. Karset growled. I wasn't spawned from Daedra, I was made by Death himself, I was chosen by a god and given a task. Naruto said as many believers had their own take on death. Either kill me or you'll die, Karset glared. Okay, F it. I tried to be diplomatic, but screw this. Naruto growled, having enough of the arrogant woman before he bit into her neck with his fangs. No. Karset screamed as she felt her blood boil as Naruto started to turn her while his women watched on. After he finished he pulled away from the Vigilant of Stender and looked at her. There now, you're an abomination like us, Naruto told her. Karset felt the power overcome her, and instead of vile, she felt liberation. A freedom she never knew she was missing. Okay, you and Tsunade, tell me everything you know in regards to the vampires and Dawn Guard. Every single detail, no matter how insignificant, Naruto ordered the now turned Karset. I have something to take care of, Naruto said, looking directly at the Makoto Uchiha infused flame Atronak. Come, he ordered her to follow him. Makoto followed him wordlessly to the Mstr bedroom. As soon as she entered, Naruto closed the door behind her and looked her over. So you're Sasuke's mom, huh? he said. Makoto knew of all the things her son had done even from the dead. Funny, one child did all the wrong things for the right reasons, and the other the opposite, she thought as she was saddened but proud of her eldest while her youngest made her feel nothing but shame. Can you even speak? Naruto inquired. Yes, Mstr. Makoto said, not realizing she was lost in thought. Good. I was worried you'd be silent the whole time, Naruto said with a grin. Makoto blushed as his smile was very bright and welcoming. It was the opposite of her ex-husband's and was somewhat alluring. You know what's gonna happen, right? Naruto asked. Yes, Mara saw fit to inform me of your carnal cravings. Makoto said, undoing her light armor, and stood before him. NDE, I am not shy to admit, my husband wasn't up to standard, she said, as it was rare if she ever orgasmed with him. Good, then we can skip the getting to know each other speech. You're the mother of the two guys who tried to kill me. As far as I'm concerned, you're gonna be a mind-broken jizz bucket for me to dump load after load into, Naruto told her. And I want that. I never had a true SEC life, you could give me that and more. Makoto said submissively. I'll decide how much you'll get, beat, Naruto told her as he walked up and grabbed at her left BRST. GRPNG it with his hand to test and inspect it. Makoto blushed at the touch as he was not being gentle. She assumed he was going to punish her for all that her sons did, and it made her corny thinking about it. Let's see what your sons did to me, shall we? Sasuke shoved a hand through my chest, so I'll start by playing with yours, Naruto said with a smirk as he moved his other hand to her right BRST and focused on GRPNG Makoto's milkers with a depraved grin on his face. Makoto cried out a mmm as he began to SCK on her tips as well. Looks like I got another cow. Naruto thought as Makoto's tips lactated as well. Let's continue then. Itachi nearly let someone take my legs, so how about I spread yours? Naruto smirked as he stopped eating at her tips and grabbed at her legs, lifting her up by her long legs till her snatch was directly in his face. Makoto mmm as her MSTR was truly using her as a plaything. Your holes are going to take punishment for your sons with interest, Naruto said, tossing her on the bed as he strppd himself. I'm not gonna be gentle. I'm going to dump every single load in each and every hole of yours. No other woman is gonna come through that door to help you. I promise that you are gonna have every single load I can give dumped in you, and I'm not gonna stop till I'm completely soft. I don't care how many days that takes, you're gonna take everything I've got, Naruto told her. Makoto felt her ninja stamina would do nothing for her, as she knew about the Uzumaki stamina as she had a few encounters with Kushina, but could tell that Naruto's lust was in a league of its own. Try not to pass out, otherwise I'll have to shock you awake, Naruto told her before pouncing on her and plunging his PP into her CNT, hilting inside of her in one move, making her scream. Makoto screamed her lungs out as Naruto mercilessly F her PP, as she had never taken something as big as his PP into her. He's invading my WMB, she thought, feeling him in her sacred spot, his PP claiming. How does it feel to have a real PP in USLT? Naruto growled out, feels good, right? Yes. Makoto mmm out, punish me more MSTR, she mmm out breathlessly. Naruto didn't need further encouragement as he slapped her peach, making the MLF jump with each smack and move he gave her. I'm gonna spank your fat peach for every slap you should have given your sons. Naruto growled out as he smacked her jiggling peach over and over again, making it redden with each impact. Makoto felt her peach burn as Naruto didn't hold back. Yes, punish my naughty MLF peach MSTR, I deserve it, and you can do anything to me. I am your property now and forever, she said as Mara may have given her body to him, she was the one who gave him her heart and soul. God, you really are an easy wear. Guess if you were alive I could have claimed you back in our world too, huh? Naruto asked mockingly to the former Uchiha matriarch as he smacked her peach and ounded her TWT. Makoto nodded fastly. Naruto bit the Uchiha woman. Yes, make me like you, I abandon the Uchiha name and submit to you. I shall take the Uzumaki name or any name you deem fit for me to take. Makoto screamed in subservience to her MSTR as she felt the change within her. I wonder if I can knock you up now, Naruto mused with a smirk as his ball began to tighten. His really's comin' close. Yes, give me a real child MSTR. Makoto said, her pee watering at the thought. Sure. Raise this one right. Naruto yelled as he leaked inside of her. Makoto felt her WMB would burst from the sheer volume of his load. His hot seed filling her to the brim as she shuddered on his fat pages. Her juices dripping and gushing from her pee mixed with his juices. That was the first load B, you better be ready. I was not kidding, we'll be here for days. Naruto said as Makoto shuddered, feeling his hard pee not losing any of its hardness. Before she could respond, Naruto started thrusting into her juices-filled snatch again. Not even caring that she wasn't prepared for him to continue thrusting into her after his first juices shot. The MLF screamed out from his immediate, hard, rough thrusts into her still sensitive CNT. Outside. DMN brat became an actual man. Anko thought as her former SECSLV Karinai would not obey her and she was listening to him. Makoto, guess since he owns my former slaves he owns me too, she thought as Karinai and even Surana whom she F for months in that tight space wouldn't obey her and he had yet to F her. Beg for it you dumb CNT. Naruto's voice growled from the other room as he did Makoto into the bed. Please MSTR. Use this worthless wear. I exist only to pleasure you. Makoto's voice yelled. A real MSTR. Anko thought as she thought she was a true MSTRS, but Naruto was easily outclassing her, something she respected and desired. Woo! Ready for load 2Bs? Bring your big mouth over here. Naruto's voice yelled. With Makoto. Makoto opened her mouth wide, but that was still not enough for the shower of juices hitting her face or that when he finished leaking he would face F her. Making the MLF GG and choke as his PP was shoved down her throat without any warning or hesitation. You have one hot F mouth you stupid where. Naruto yelled as he slammed his length down her throat. Makoto felt her eyes roll into her head as she felt euphoria as Naruto F her mouth. I don't care how useful you are in battle. Your only use for me is for relief now. Naruto grunted out as he hilted his PP all the way down her throat making the MLF GG and choke on the length. If you're around, your holes are getting used. If I summon you you're getting F. Understand? Naruto yelled out dominantly to the dazed MLF. Makoto could only gurgle and nod with his PP in her mouth. Stupid where can't even talk. Fine, let's put your body to use then. Naruto growled as he pulled out his PP from her mouth and sprayed his third load on her gigantic, jiggling, jugs. Makoto smiled stupidly, her mind turning to mush with each hot load. Already breaking, huh? Well, too bad for you, we're barely at hour 1. Hope you can last 5 days, Naruto smirked before he PP slapped the MLF in her face to try and get a response. Next day. Makoto felt as if she was PRGN all over again as Naruto had been F her PP in a myriad of ways filling her to the brim and no matter how much leaked out he replaced what she lost and more. Well, you lasted 1 day. So congrats, but I'm still hard. Naruto grunted as he slammed into her PP making the MLF scream at his intrusion. Next day. Makoto was eating Naruto's PP as he did certain things like read or lay in bed as she pleasured him. And he would have her do different SXL workouts and forced her body to take his massive. Next day. Makoto was nervous and excited, her mind losing itself to the pleasure as Naruto ordered her to pop her black cherry with his PP and she did so without question, but it didn't stop her mind from going blank as Naruto reshaped her hole for his use. Next day. Makoto smiled as she looked in the mirror admiring her golden orange eyes. She looked to her MSTR who was laying on the bed waiting for her as after the first 3 days of being broken he gave her a slight rest and in that rest she knew her place as Naruto proved it by summoning her. You are a very nice SLV wear. Naruto said as he kissed her making her MMM in delight loving his touch. I am here to please MSTR. Makoto said willing to commit any act he wanted her to do. Then you can start by getting to work with those tips, Naruto ordered with a smirk. Makoto immediately knelt before him and rapped. Her large melons around his pages jerking off his PP with her massive mammaries. "MSTR, are you going to break the vampire SLT before her mother?" she asked, wondering what he'd do with Tsurana. "How about you worry about how much you can hold in you first before worrying about my other women? After all, I could be F them instead of you," Naruto told her like a veiled threat. Makoto silenced her mouth and began kissing his pages. Worshipping the thing that gave her endless pleasure. But she does bring up a good point. Naruto thought, thinking it'd be fun to tease Tsurana in the meantime till they found her mother. "I'll wreck her later, for now I have this bee to deal with first," he thought as he grabbed Makoto by the back of her head and shoved his PP down her throat again. Enjoying her gagging sounds like they were music. Next day. Makoto was exhausted as it was the 5th day, and her MSTR certainly lived to his word as her holes were raw and bruised and her MSTR was still corny, and he only looked slightly winded from what he had done to her. "Well, you lasted the 5 days. Congratulations." Naruto told her with a smirk. "Unfortunately I'm still hard, so I guess I'll just have to keep using you," Naruto told her as he got on top of the exhausted MLF and prepared to F her again. Makoto lost all track of time as Naruto kept F her. Outside. Karinai was truly enjoying the staff her MSTR gave her, as after some work done from Tsunade it no longer looked like bone but normal wood, as well as had some new effects. She used the staff to invade or alter dreams of the women present. She started with Anko and smiled from the wet dreams she had of Naruto, but she gave them more life, making the vampire woman crave her MSTR. With Tsurana there was no work done as the vampire girl submitted to her MSTR quite easily, but I should change the reason, she thought, as Tsurana was doing this because of Mara instead of solely for her MSTR. She quietly made her way to her final target. Carset. The woman recently turned by her MSTR. The woman with hatred for Deidre descended or spawned beings. A woman in dire need of an attitude adjustment to serve her MSTR. So she made her have vivid dreams of worshipping her MSTR or offering her body to him, and each time she woke up in denial she made the dreams more intense, and she soon started to believe they were reality with how Makoto was screaming, driving the woman up a wall. "Take my load again, B." Naruto growled, dumping more juices into Makoto and making her scream to the heavens. "Ah, music to my ears." Karinai thought as the women were going crazy craving his touch. But for now they could only listen to the sounds of his F of Makoto and her screams of lust. Blood chill manner. Naruto was in bed with Tsunade and Makoto, thinking heavily on how to fight the vampires in the castle, as it was overrun with them and light rarely shined there, making it so he could not exploit one of the vampires' weaknesses. He'd like some way to harm Harkon when the time comes, and had Tsurana looking into it. The girl was slightly motivated to kill her father, knowing he was a monster after all. Naruto got dressed and went to see if she found anything, and to his somewhat delight, she did, as apparently there was a sword most of the undead were afraid of, the Dawnbreaker, a sword belonging to one of the Daedric Princess Meridia. "She looks familiar," Naruto said as he looked at an illustration of her statue, and her temple was robbed, he asked her. "Tsunade told me that Meridia's stone beacon was taken by a group of vampires working with a necromancer." Tsurana said as she could understand why they would do so, as this sword basically spat fire when it came in contact with the undead. "I'll ask Hulda." Naruto said as there was a possibility the vampires had it somewhere buried, like a cave or something like that. 1 hour later. An ice cave? Naruto thought as vampires liked it cold. The Dragonborn went inside and began to murder the vampires, which took longer as all of them were also necromancers, so they resummoned their fallen comrades, meaning he had to kill them over again. It was honestly rather tedious and boring after the 3rd revival. Naruto found the beacon and had to admit it was an impressive piece given how it was carved, but what he didn't expect was the voice in his head and how condescending it sounded. "You mortal, return my beacon to my statue," a loud feminine voice said, calling out to him. "This is gonna be a long 5 hours." Naruto thought as he still couldn't put his finger on this woman's voice. The way she talked, it feels so familiar to him that it was insane. 1 hour later. "I swear whoever it was must have been a pain." Naruto thought as all he heard from this stone was whining and complaining about the undead that invaded her temple. By the gods, if he wanted to be besieged by constant bitching, he would have let Nazim live to let him talk. What is your name? There is a tint of my power on you. Were you perhaps a follower that was corrupted? Meridia asked him, as she couldn't stand undead, which technically he was one, but she had to make do with what she could. Naruto paused at that, a tint of her power. He thought to himself as Death said something similar about his former seal once before, saying since he sealed the nine tails in him there was a tint of his power remaining. Magic, he thought, thinking back to certain events where chakra/magic came into contact with his being. Chakra and magic. Chakra and magic. What would it have been? He thought, trying to figure out. If you do an adequate job, I may pass upon you a blessing. Even if you have the power of a filthy undead, Meridia said offhandedly. This be, Naruto thought as he let his mind wander back to possible SCRT missions he did. Let's see, Tazuna, Tsunade, Koyuki, Cheyenne, Ama, oh my god, half my career has been these shitty SCRT missions. Naruto thought, mentally groaning at the realization. Okay, double time, he thought, doubling his pace and speed. 2 hours later. I'm starting to see why this temple is so far away from people. Naruto thought as he wanted to kill this Daedric princess. She was pissing him off hardcore with her bitchy attitude. I take back everything I ever thought about Sakura, he thought, as he often thought Sakura talked too much, but this was torture. Pure unending torture. We're here, Naruto said while Meridia was going off on a tangent about necromancers. He placed Meridia's beacon on the altar and soon he was in the sky. Okay, this bee is way too dramatic. Naruto thought as he was floating. You have brought my beacon, but there is much to be done. You must enter my temple and run my light through it. Cleanse my temple of the undead that degrade it. Meridia commands you. Meridia demanded. I'll enter your temple, bee, just you wait. Naruto thought before nodding and finding himself back on the ground. This sword better be worth it or I am gonna kill someone, he said to himself, going inside, taking out a silver sword, and fire graced his other palm. Come on out, bees, he said, calling out to all the spectral ghosts inside and other undead. 2 hours later. Naruto stabbed a vampire in the face with his silver sword, killing them and leaving their corpse with the other bodies he had slaughtered. This bee cannot be worth all this trouble. What is even in this place? Naruto yelled, surprised. No one burned this place to the ground. If her brothers and sisters don't do it, I will. Naruto yelled, having enough of being Meridia's errand boy. He was genuinely about to start torching this goddamned place. And fast. Naruto felt like he made it to the final part of the temple as he was careful not to make noise, seeing a man sitting on a throne like he owned the place. Guess this is the guy, he thought, wishing he'd pack some arrows or throwing knives to shoot at his neck. A fresh victim has come to greet me, the necromancer named Malkaron stated as he stood up from the throne. There goes the element of surprise. Naruto thought to himself, summoning a flame Atronak, and prepared his fire breath shout. It's useless to resist. You shall fall and serve me upon your death, Malkaron stated as his hands were coated with ice. I had to deal with a bee who did nothing but whine. You are gonna die, you pathetic little bee. Naruto said, about to unleash all his anger and frustration on this fool. If only you had given up, then your demise wouldn't be so painful. I suppose you'll just have to suffer for your insulin dash, Malkaron was monologuing before he got blasted with a giant fire blast from Naruto's Atronak. Naruto smiled, seeing the burning corpse. He then was confused, seeing the man's very own ghost. Of course this bee has an Orochimaru necromancer squatting in her place, he thought in annoyance as he unleashed his fire breath shout on the ghost. Incinerating it. Well done, a voice not Meridia's spoke up from out of nowhere. Naruto looked around, still having zero clue to whom this woman was. Let me see here, he thought, touching the light, getting burned in the process as it was hot as hell. Okay, maybe so enchanting then, he thought, taking out a black soul gem with no soul and raised it to the light, and to his surprise the soul gem turned white and let out a pink hue. No. Naruto said as he met only one power that was similar to this, Cheyenne. he said, and to his shock the skeletons on the floor glowed before turning to dust, and soon said blonde Naruto mentioned appeared. Oh god damn it, what's your deal with Meridia? Are you Meridia? I have so many questions after dealing with this bullshit quest, Naruto demanded as his eyebrow was starting to twitch. Before he could get his answer, a bright light beamed into the room and a woman older looking than Cheyenne appear but still similar in appearance showed up. Cheyenne opened her eyes and was in shock seeing Naruto and the woman next to her. Naruto? Mother? She asked confused. This woman is your mother? Naruto asked her in shock as he felt he got lucky when he got her instead of the mother. You have done well, Dragonborn, Cheyenne's mother spoke with Meridia's voice. Okay, you know what? F it. I'm done with this bullshit. I came for the sword, but you know what? I'm taking you too now. I don't give a DMN anymore. Naruto bellowed, finally having enough of this bullcrap. Cheyenne blushed at the words he used as she had fantasies about Naruto taking her for months and he had promised to impregnate her. You! He yelled at Cheyenne's mom, I had to deal with your goddamn bitching all this time. You say one more word and I'll end you. And you! He yelled, pointing at Cheyenne, you now just suddenly just show up in this world with no explanation. Well, I've had it. Naruto yelled. Meridia was angry, especially at him yelling at her daughter. The reason she appeared was because the necromancer was trying to use her believers to summon her, but instead of her he got the next best thing, her daughter. Naruto saying her name just solidified the target of the spell. See, calm down, Naruto. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. Cheyenne stuttered, a little terrified by Naruto's rage, but also a little excited. 76. That's how many necromancers I killed in this place, Naruto said. You should be grateful to serve someone like myself, you heathen. Meridia said to him, not thanking him. Thanks, Meridia. You just broke my final straw, Naruto said after taking a deep inhaling breath, FUS. RO. Da. He yelled at Meridia. Cheyenne saw her mother get sent flying, and before she knew it Naruto had thrown her into the throne in the room and redirected the light coming from the beam to her. Meridia was infuriated by that attack. She didn't care if Naruto was the chosen one of Akatosh or whoever. She was going to burn him alive, but before she could do anything she felt weak, as if her power was leaving her very body, and soon saw the reason. Naruto was having her light pour into her daughter. Hours upon hours of your bitching. Cheyenne, you're the new Daedric princess of life and energy now. And you? Naruto growled at Meridia. Cheyenne looked at herself and shuddered, feeling power coursing through her veins. I have a different use for your mouth. Naruto growled at Meridia, having enough of her damned manipulating, whining, bullshit. Cheyenne blushed seeing Naruto tear off his armor from his body, seeing his body was even hotter than her dreams. Daughter. Give me back my powers before this loathsome swine does something to me. Meridia demanded. Cheyenne, don't. Naruto approached her. Let me show you real power, he said, biting her neck. Cheyenne screamed, feeling another intense power enter her body. Something primal. Something dark. Something good. Meridia watched in shock as he changed her daughter and soon saw the light of her temple change into something she didn't recognize. It was no longer light or shadow. It was something else entirely. No. You disgraced her. You maggot. Meridia yelled in fury at Naruto, seeing her daughter from the shinobi world be defiled in such a way. Cheyenne smiled dumbly as she looked at Naruto. I think I was promised a night of passion, but before we get to the good part, allow me to give you this, she said with a smile. Meridia watched as Cheyenne gave Naruto her blessings. No. Meridia yelled as she ran at Naruto in a rage, hoping to stop him and regain her rightful powers. Cheyenne glared at her mother and slapped her across the face. Silence, mother, you are no longer in control, you have been strppd of your power and your titles and now are immortal. Cheyenne. I raised you. Meridia yelled. Under a false name, Miroku. And now I surpassed you. I strp you of your true name Meridia and leave you with your former name Miroku. Now I give you a choice, bow down to me, the new Daedric Princess of Light, or be cast aside. Cheyenne ordered. The formerly named Meridia, now Miroku, was tense as she was a target without her powers, as she had no alliances with the other Daedric princes. They all wanted her dead for her attitude alone, and especially because of Dawnbreaker. But I'd rather die than serve you, she glared angrily. So be it, mother. Turn her, my lord, Cheyenne told Naruto. Naruto had no problem biting her neck, wondering why he didn't just kill her, but after the long day he thought against it. No. You filthy savage beast. How dare you touch me? Miroku screamed as his fangs sank into her neck. Cheyenne smiled, seeing her mother change, as like Naruto she didn't have a high opinion of the woman now that she knew the truth. How does it feel? Naruto asked Miroku after he finished turning her to a hybrid. Miroku fought against the euphoria flooding her senses as she felt it now. Naruto was not an undead, he was something at a higher point of life. But he still had the taint of undead in him, or rather something dead around him. Well, mother, how does it feel? Cheyenne asked/demanded with a superior smirk towards the former Daedric Princess of Life and Energy. I haven't been one long and it feels amazing, she said happily as she embraced her new body. Miroku felt her senses heighten and felt wet as she smelt Naruto's arousal and the scent of other females he had bedded, and also how wet her own daughter was, as Naruto was still NDE before them. It feels wonderful, Miroku admitted as her mind finally fully caught up to the new changes. Cheyenne smiled at her mother's confession. Good, now, she said, looking at her sternly as she bound a portion of powers to her mother, now you are a priestess, mother, my priestess. Yes, my lady. Miroku spoke up with reverence. Good, now those who followed you will follow me. Cheyenne said, wanting it to be clear to her mother she was the new Meridia, and we shall do everything in our power to aid and serve the Dragonborn Naruto in any way he needs. She licked her lips. Yes, my lady, Miroku spoke up in obedience. Good, now choke on his pages. Cheyenne ordered, feeling she and Naruto heard her speak enough. Naruto smiled as the MLF woman was rather inexperienced as she blew him. Cheyenne smiled as she walked over and kissed Naruto. I always hated being a priestess, but I always loved the thought of defiling sacred places, she said, as she always had thought of Naruto F her in sacred places after he saved her. She really wanted him to F her in a sacred pool and defile her and the pool. It was her favorite fantasy. Just the thought made her gush. Miroku blushed as she could not believe how her day unfolded. Once a Daedric princess and now a servant to her daughter who was a servant to this man. And this same man made her like him, and it felt amazing. Now she served him and she couldn't deny that she was enjoying this. Are you gonna be as bad as your mother when I take you, Cheyenne? Naruto asked as the MLF was not doing well blowing him. Even Tsunade on their first was better than this woman. No, Naruto, I prepared for your return daily. I choked on certain fruits and vegetables as I wanted to please you. Cheyenne said as she had a few handmaidens here and there that were very explicit in how to please their lover. Good, cause this bee is disappointing, Naruto grunted looking down at Miroku. Cheyenne glared at her mother. Then maybe her holes are what you need, do as you wish to get your relief, she said, disrobing and bringing her impressive chest to his face, and screamed as he began to eat at her tips. Good idea. Naruto smirked as he grabbed Miroku by her hair and pulled her off his PP before pulling her up to stand and bent her over. His PP rubbing against the MLF CNT before he speared his PP inside her. Look at her face, she looks so salty. Cheyenne said as her mother seemed to have broken instantly. She heard from some elder handmaiden that her mother didn't have an adequate lover, but still got her in the end, and also here he wasn't very equipped. This may be her first time experiencing a true man, she thought with a smile, as there was no one more man than Naruto. What a weak wear, Naruto snarked as he gripped Miroku's hair and tugged, making her scream from his rough actions. Do not worry, Mstr, she will be trained. I will have her walk this temple naked, and I will train her and any other woman who wishes to serve you. This temple will no longer be run by a pathetic bee. Cheyenne said to him, imagining what her mother was like to other people. Yes, I will train daily Mstr. I will get better. Miroku said loudly, making her intentions known. Naruto liked the sound of that and the fact Cheyenne was now dedicated enough to him she'd use her own followers to please him. Good. Now howl for me, you worthless SLT. Naruto growled as he pulled Miroku's hair again as he slammed into her even harder. Miroku howled, letting her inner beast cry out in pleasure, wanting her Mstr to know how much pleasure she was feeling from his actions. He is so strong, he's not bound by the other Daedric princes, he may be even more powerful than those two idiots. She thought to herself, thinking of the makers of vampires and werewolves. He said howl. Cheyenne glared, that was weak. She yelled before she walked over to her mother and slapped her in the face with a backhand. Miroku howled again, but it got significantly louder as she hit her breaking point as Naruto found her weak spot and she let out a fierce CLMX along with her roar. Listen to those lungs. Naruto chuckled at the MLF. Look at that puddle. Cheyenne said, smiling as her mother experienced a true orgasm and was twitching slightly as Naruto still held her by her hair and had her on his PP. Now that she's leaking, I still need to, so let's see how many orgasms she can have before I leak. Naruto cackled as he thrust it into the MLF again and again, not caring how sensitive she was, as he was going to have his way with her as much as possible till he felt some relief for the trouble she gave him. Miroku howled and screamed at each and every move he gave her, taking move after move and orgasm after orgasm. Her screams echoing throughout the temple while her daughter watched their lord F her brains out. Cheyenne was in awe of how rough Naruto was being with her mother, treating the woman who gave BRTH to her like a toy, a plaything. Watching it made Cheyenne so hot. How many times are you gonna leak before I leak? Naruto growled out to the former Meridia. She just had a hazy look in her eyes as her new Mstr used her like a fleshlight. I can't help it. Miroku screamed as all she could do was CLMX over and over and over again on his thick PP, tearing her whole asunder. Oh please, you could help it, you're just too pathetic to try, Naruto scoffed as he pulled back Miroku's hair harshly, making her scream again. Miroku screamed as she had another large orgasm and passed out, twitching from sheer pleasure. Tisk, couldn't even make me leak once before passing out, Naruto grunted as he pulled out of the MLF. Disappointed at her performance. To be fair, I highly doubt she had a real man like you, Cheyenne said with a smile at Naruto. I suppose I could be a bit lenient then. But for now I'm still hard and your mouth is free. Naruto turned to the new Daedric princess with a firm look. Cheyenne dropped to her knees and began kissing his PP, worshipping it, like it was meant to be worshipped. Naruto had to admit the girl clearly knew how to do what she did, guessing all the practice she did was well worth the effort. Well, you're definitely better than your mother with your mouth, Naruto told the blonde woman. I intend to be better than her at everything, Cheyenne said, pushing him back to a nearby table and climbing on top of him. You know, if I knew you were such an easy SLT I probably would have plowed you when we met, Naruto smirked. You should have, imagine how much bigger my tips would be, Cheyenne said, kissing his neck reverently. Well, we can make up for that now, Naruto exclaimed as he pulled her by her peach and impaled her CNT with his pages, making her scream at the sudden intrusion. He's in my WMB, Cheyenne thought while screaming aloud. His PP was literally slammed against her WMB. I should have demanded marriage and had him F me on the sacred grounds, she thought to herself, wishing she had him defile her there. Ride me B, Naruto demanded as he sent a hard slap to Cheyenne's peach. Cheyenne did as commanded and felt mini climaxes each time she dropped down on his pages. Ah. 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 Each bounce of her peach echoing as she screamed at the top of her lungs. Feeling him unleash his load into her WMB, I wonder how powerful our child would be, she thought, as with her as a Daedric princess and Naruto as whatever he was, as even with her mother's power she could feel he was still superior to her. She cried out in pleasure as Naruto didn't stop even after leaking. Well, that's one load finally. Now for the next 20. Naruto smirked as he grabbed Cheyenne peach once more and started bouncing her up and down on his still hard PP with her sensitive CNT. Using her as a living SEC toy as her screams echoed throughout the cavernous temple. Cheyenne and Naruto defiled the temple, the shift in the temple's aura almost palpable. So grand was the shift that it caused Miroku to awaken to join in on the defilement to her best abilities. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 5. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author pyrohelixdrago on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video, till then goodbye. Asasaswask.